Good morning, everyone. We're letting everyone get in and making sure I admit everybody. And Nydia, if you'll help me with that, I appreciate it. So we'll get started in just a second. I see people are coming on. Good morning. Good morning. I see more people logging in. We'll go ahead and get started. It's a bright, clear day in Tallahassee, Florida. We're so thankful because we've had so much rain and cold weather up here in the northern hinterlands of our state. So welcome to everyone. Good morning. If you're just joining us, we're giving everybody just a couple minutes to get in. And if you have questions, you can see the question box. If you want to go ahead and start telling us who you are, where you're from, we'd love to hear from you. If a couple people would let me know if you can see the 2021 Cap Month webinar, Wear Blue Day, I would appreciate it.
We can see it. Looking good, Chris.
Thank you. Just another minute to give people time to get in. All right, we're up to 40 something now. So I want to go ahead and get started. I want to respect everyone's time, and I really want to thank y'all for joining us today for Cap Month Webinar 2. As I mentioned in our first webinar, we're going to focus from now until the end of March on what people are doing. Creativity abounds in our state. We've talked about lots of ideas. A lot of you have shared tremendous ideas, things that you're already doing. Many people in our state have been doing this for a long time, so you'll hear from some experienced folks. And we'll continue to share those ideas on our future webinars. This one will be recorded, so we will be putting it on our website under the webinars and podcasts. So again, thank you everybody for joining us. We got a couple of great guests to share what they're going to be doing, what their plans are for April, and how they plan on helping us raise awareness. Not of the fact, y'all, that I think this is an important point. We want to talk about what we can do. You know, the fact that abuse and neglect can be prevented, I think, is one thing that we want to be able to say to people as we go into the campaign and during the whole course of the year for that matter, because I think it's, it's not uncommon for folks when they see stories in the paper or the news or wherever they get their, wherever they digest their media from, to see horrific cases of abuse and neglect and to think, what can we do? There's no hope. Can we ever do anything to stop abuse and neglect before it starts? So we're going to talk more about that. But if you're out there, if you'd like to go ahead and start telling us who you are, where you're from, we'd love to have you do so. You can type those comments in our questions box. And I'm going to start out with a few updates. But before I do, I just wanted to tell y'all about how impressed I am with your efforts so far. I've had some really heartwarming conversations with several people all around the state this week, and your enthusiasm, your creativity, they're just amazing. And you're going to hear from a couple folks who bear both those qualities today. But just this week, I've heard from two folks that are working with some of their partners, public, private, cities, towns, municipalities, to light up the night for Child Abuse Prevention Month. That's really exciting. I know some of y'all have done that before, and some of you are embarking upon that quest now. So I encourage you, please let me know if there's anything I can do for you. I'm working on a couple of things myself, so I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. I'd rather wait and let's see when it actually happens before I tell you about it, which hopefully will be by the next webinar. But I also want to tell you about another idea. I was working with the folks down in the Guardian Ad Litem program in the 8th Circuit. And we came up with an idea that I don't believe I had mentioned before. We were talking about what they could do, and just so everybody knows where the 8th Circuit is, they were talking about planting pinwheels around the university library in Gainesville. So I forget the name of that college. I think there's a college there somewhere. Anyway, they expect foot traffic through that area during the month. So they were going to put some pinwheels out, and we talked about yard signs. But the thing that we came up with that's a little bit different that I just want to make you all aware of is we have that handout on our website called Things You Can Do to Prevent Child Abuse and Neglect. And Jennifer and Nydia, y'all can correct me if I'm saying it wrong, but I know you can find it under the toolkit link. But what we've agreed to do with them is to blow those up. We're going to update the art that you'll see on the flyer, and we're going to turn those into yard signs. So if you're interested, reach out to us, let us know. And of course, I hope you all have our contact information. If not, I'll be sharing it at the end of my update section today. So they're going to put those signs up so that people can see what are some things that you can do to prevent child abuse and neglect in your neighborhood, on your street, in your community. So before I get started by introducing our guests, I want to go back and just bring up those updates that I promised and talk a little bit about where we are and where we're going. So one of the things I want to remind everybody of that'll be here before we know it is Wear Blue Day. And it's going to be on April 1st this year. They did that. A couple people have asked me about it. Yeah, traditionally it is on the first Friday of April, but the first Friday of April this year just happens to be Good Friday. So some organizations, agencies are closed for Good Friday. And we didn't want to take away from the focus that people want to have on Good Friday and Easter weekend. And nationally, we made the decision then that we would back it up by a day to April 1st. So I can think of a lot of ways that we can play off that. Things like no fooling it's Child Abuse Prevention Month, or Wear Blue. Anyway, I think you get the gist. We want to encourage all of you. Businesses can do this. I think this is something that people really get into. Please share photos and tell us about what you're doing so we can help share with everybody else too. So Wear Blue Day, April 1st this year. That's a Thursday. We'll look forward to seeing your photos. And then I just want to remind you that we do have March webinars and podcasts that are coming up. I put the link there. This PowerPoint slide will be saved on our and put on our website by next week. So I'll have all these links there. Always, if you have any questions, if you need any information, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. But today we'll have webinar 2. And as I mentioned, we have 2 guests. We have one person from Broward Aware. That's the Broward County, the conglomeration of partners that has formed this Broward Aware group. And so we have Carrie Ann, who's going to talk to us about that in a little while. And we also have Pete and Chris Meyer with Bikers Care. And they're going to tell us some details about a nice, unique event that they're going to be doing too. So we'll get to those in just a few minutes. First, let me just tell you that this webinar, with all the tips and the things that we're going to talk about today, will be recorded, is being recorded, and we will release the audio as our podcast sometime the week of March the 8th. So I think that's next week. Then on March the 19th, we'll have webinar number 3. I'll have more updates for you at that time about some of the things I'm about to show you, but we're also going to have 2 guests for that one. We're going to take a broad look at an entire circuit and what the Circuit 7 people are going to do. That's over on the Space Coast and that vicinity. DCF Circuit 7 are going to be with us, and they're going to talk about a variety of events, and they have some different ideas too. And then we have Heartland for Children that'll join us on March the 19th too. They have also got a variety of events, and they have some really cool ideas that they're going to be willing to share with us. There you can see the link to join the next webinar, to register for the next webinar, and I purposefully left the link as it is so that you can copy and paste it if you need to. I hope it works that way. So let me know if you have any trouble with it. First, I want to talk about the statewide kickoff. That's also going to be on April 1st. And we're going to have, we've been lucky enough to secure the participation of the brand new Department of Children and Family Secretary, Siobhan Harris. And some of you may know Siobhan. She's actually worked with the Agency for Healthcare for years, and she comes to us. She's with the Department of Children and Families now. I'm sure she hit the ground running, as they all have to do. So we're lucky enough to have her and maybe a member of her staff to be with us from 10 to 10:30. We're going to be broadcasting that live. And Jennifer can correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that I should have asked probably that means that we're going to broadcast it on our Facebook page. So Jennifer, interrupt me if you want to correct me on that.
That's going to be streamed live to both our Facebook page and our YouTube page. So we'll be sending out more information on that in the week leading up to that.
Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate that. I'm learning about channels, and I had no idea YouTube was a channel. So Jennifer helps keep me straight on stuff like that. Thank you, Jennifer. So we'll have the secretary for 30 minutes. And y'all can imagine, you know, what we want to get her to talk about is not just what Child Abuse Prevention Month represents, what it is, what it gives us an opportunity to do, the things that it gives us a chance to talk about, like moving upstream, as we say, to shift our focus from really waiting until something bad happens with a family or potentially bad happens with a family, a crisis occurs, whatever that might be. And I promise you, as a former protective investigator, those things really do cause families a lot of trouble and grief and trauma. So if we can get ahead of that, we want to be able to help families. We want to be able to have them be able to get help before they get to crisis. And I know the Department of Children and Families is committed to a more forward-looking, proactive approach to providing services. And we'll get a chance to hear directly from her. And obviously, we'll want to talk to her about what her vision is. I'm sure she has a lot of really cool ideas. So we'll look forward to that. And then I said that from 10:30 to 11 will be the after party. I have to tell y'all, if you haven't seen or heard our podcasts, we have a budding superstar podcast star on our staff, Nydia Intuta. She brings a lot of professionalism that I sometimes lack to that vehicle. So myself and Nydia, along with our supporting cast, of course, we'll have Zach Gibson join us. Zach's the Chief Child Advocate and the Director of the Office of Adoption and Child Protection in the Executive Office of the Governor. That's a long title. And then we'll also have Alan Abramowitz, who's the Executive Director of the Statewide Guardian Ad Litem Office. And they'll be joining Nydia and I to talk more about what's going to happen, what else is going on that we want everyone to know about, and really to focus on, what else is it that we can do to bring attention to the fact that abuse can be prevented, that neglect far outweighs abuse, and how we can do some things to help support families and prevent abuse and neglect before it ever starts. So there's our Facebook page address. I hope most of you have it. You can find our everything on our web page, preventchildabusefl.org. So for April, we do have one webinar that is, we're really close to being able to announce the date, but I wanted to be able to wait and talk to Dr. Klicka one more time before I release that date. So you'll be seeing that really soon. Dr. Klicka, I was talking to someone about him yesterday, and I think my favorite part about Bart, my favorite thing that I like about him is, you see his title there, Chief Research Officer with Prevent Child Abuse America, but Bart has a real talent for taking research and all the numbers and phrases that go along with it and turning it into common language or things that even I can understand. So I've asked Bart, and perhaps he'll have another one of his colleagues with him, to talk about what works. We know now there are a lot of things that we can do to prevent abuse and neglect. And we got a really good idea about what some of those things are. But at this point, we've kind of been tied to secondary and tertiary prevention. So I want to ask Bart also, not just to talk about where we are now, but to talk about where he sees us going as a country. And then we'll certainly be hearing more from the Secretary about where she sees our state going. And those of you who pay attention to legislation, and you may have read some information about this, but Florida's taken some real heady steps in that direction, and really toward remaking our child welfare system into a family and child well-being system. So you'll hear more about that too. We're working on an idea for webinar 2. I had talked to some nurses this week, and they want us to do some training for them on the child abuse prevention. But I think one challenge to folks who've worked in this field for any period of time, or people maybe who've just done a lot of reading or viewing of the material that's out there, all the information that's out there about abuse and neglect. It's easy for people to get traumatized secondarily or vicariously just from living through those things, from being exposed to those things. So I don't want to give away the store, but I think there's something to be said for having those folks who are in positions such as a child protective investigator or law enforcement or nurses or anyone who works with families who've been through trauma. So I'm going to ask one of our guests to come on for webinar 2 and to talk a little about that, how to avoid burnout. What can you do to be able to cope? Because I know a lot of people on this call, and obviously a lot of people that we work with, find themselves in that situation way too often. So more information on who that guest is and what we're going to talk about, we'll be releasing that within the next few days. I want to also just remind you that we're continuing to focus on what you can do in your community. Y'all, I can't stress enough that we want you to follow those safe guidelines. Whatever your community guidelines are, that's what we want to do. Some of you are going to be able to do some drive-in theaters or even a homemade drive-in theater, as I call it. Outdoor events are always good. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But we're going to continue our focus on that, and we have some people who are already working on that, and I can't wait to hear more.
Chris.
Yes.
Chris, this is Jennifer. I'm not sure if you're maybe showing slides that are showing these URLs, but I'm not seeing it on my end, and someone has asked the question where these URLs. There we go. Now I can see.
Maybe I should do that then.
So we will post this. We will post this presentation on the toolkit page, and that's preventchildabusefl.org. We have a partner toolkit page. And so also almost all of the things that he's mentioned are also linked or listed on that page as well. So if you go to preventchildabusefl.org, you'll be able to find all of this information.
Thank you, Jennifer. Yes, one button lacked clicking. And I'm clicking through them real quick because I'm hoping everybody can take a quick look. Are y'all seeing them now again?
Yes, I see your full screen with everything now.
Okay, good. Okay. I tried walking through them. There we go. Now I hope you can see them. That would probably be a little better. So I mentioned the live stream event with the secretary, the after party with Nydia and I, Zach and Alan. There's webinar 1. We will have the date for that, I would say at least by next week sometime. And then I'll also be sending out an update on email. And I hope to have the guest secured and the topic nailed down for webinar 2. And now I'm back to where I was talking. So I'll just wrap this slide up by saying, I think our creativity is one of the things that's going to suit us best as we go through this April. And I just want to encourage y'all again, if there's anything we can do to help you make these events occur, help you pull this off, then we're going to want to do that. Somebody asked me also this week about masks. Could we help with masks? So yes, I do have some masks that I can send you. If you need some, please let me know. So we're going to continue to focus on pinwheels in iconic locations and lighting things up. I'll talk more about this too in the email, and hopefully I'll know more about some more of the partnerships that we're working on. One of the last things I don't want to forget to remind everybody about is, and I left these URLs on purpose this way. I alluded to this earlier, but I wanted everyone to be able to copy and paste them Jennifer mentioned and I mentioned that we'll put them on the website so you'll be able to see them. But you will also be able to find it on our webpage, like Jennifer was describing. On the bottom left-hand corner, you can see the link to order all our free resources like parenting guides, safe sleep stuff, the water safety stuff, loving bond brochures, advocacy guides. Those are on this link where you see QNet. And we do that so that you can create an account just like you do on Amazon or any other online ordering site. And once you create your account, you don't have to do that anymore. But then that lets the warehouse know where you want your materials to be sent. So order your parenting guides, order your advocacy guides. We'd love to make sure, and they're in. We have them, y'all. They're ready to ship. So please help yourself. Go ahead and place your order. And then we, of course, have Pinwheels. Some of y'all are really finding creative ways. If you want to get them, though, before April 1st, we need to make sure that you have your order in by March 12th for delivery prior to April 1st. Nydia is our pinwheel lady, the pinwheel queen, as we sometimes refer to her as. Nydia, jump in anytime if you'd like. And Jennifer's also done a really good job at designing. It's not limited to the design that you see here, but we have t-shirts this year. We did it for the first time last year. So if you want to order t-shirts, please feel free to use that link. And if you use code WEARBLUE21, then you'll save 20% all the way up to March 23rd. Finally, here's our contact information. I mentioned it earlier, but if you'd like to get in touch with us, ask us questions. I haven't given out my desk phone number in almost 6 years now. So there's my cell phone number, my email address, and there's Jennifer's contact information as well. And I forgot to put Nydia on there. Nydia, I'm sorry. I should have put you on there too.
That's okay.
Okay.
I'll chime in for just a bit since we're on
Yeah.
Pinwheels, and I did see a
Thank you.
question come in about the Pinwheels. For those who are brand spanking new, obviously we have a lot of partners who join us in this campaign year after year, and we appreciate your support. For those who are brand new to this, everything we're referring to, you can just go to our website, preventchildabusefl.org, and just kind of browse around those different tabs. But there is a section that says purchase Pinwheels or related material, and you will see the price of the Pinwheels as well as some other merchandise and knickknacks that we sell on our website. I believe on that webpage, my contact information is there. And more than likely, I will be the person that will be communicating to you if you do have questions when you're ordering or any type of follow-up regarding your order. So you should
Nice.
find my information on there.
Thank you, Nydia. I just pulled up the website so people can get an idea about what we're talking about. Right here are the links. Can y'all see my screen?
Yep, we can see it.
All right, cool. So you can see this is to order the parenting guides and the advocacy guides and all the other associated brochures, the water safety stuff, all that kind of stuff. That's the top link, order books and educational resources. And then the next link is to order Pinwheels. We also have lapel pins, we have car magnets, and speaking of magnets, we still do have some of those transportation magnets, as we call them. If you have a transportation partner, a delivery service, anyone that is in the transportation related business, going to be about town, if you have company cars that you use, state cars that you use, we'd also be glad to send you some of those. So you can just request those by emailing me, and we will send you some large magnets. I think they're, Jennifer, help me out, I think they're 24 inches. So those are pretty large and they show up really well. If you put them on the side of your car, the hood, the trunk, whatever, wherever they'll fit, they are just another tool that we have to be able to keep getting the word out. All right. So now I'm going to do as promised, and I'm going to show you the events page. And before I go to Pete, I also want to make sure that you see where you can enter your local event information. So please, if you haven't already done so, enter your local event information. This shows, it's not just for us, y'all. This is so that we can collectively see where people are doing what. And we'll get a lot of ideas from looking through these, as I'm about to demonstrate with the help of a couple of our guests. But please enter your event. It also shows our funder, the Department of Children and Families, where people are doing what, and allows them to see some idea about what the impact of the campaign is around the state. So I want to make sure if you can get those in. Yes, I hear someone. Somebody have a question? Okay, then I'm going to move down here. And Pete, can you hear us, and can we hear you?
Yes, sir. We're here.
We're here.
All right. Pete, y'all, Pete Meyer and his better half, Chris, are the founders of Bikers Care. And instead of me telling you about who they are and what they're doing, I'm just going to say, Pete, would you take it away, please?
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate the not only support that you and your organization provided for the past few years, but certainly honored to be a guest on your webcast here to share what we're doing. My wife and I started this organization. Actually, April will be our 4th anniversary. So I guess it's kind of fitting that we started in April, right, for National Child Prevention Month. We're a small group that's based in essentially the 5th Judicial Circuit. We are actually headquartered at our home in Pasco. So we do serve Pasco and Polk County as well. But we do maintain a national outreach through our social media, and have actually had some measure of success in assisting families in other states, locate the resources that they need. I guess we got started because we were working with another organization that was kind of focused on one type of abuse. And while that was certainly serious, we quickly learned that that was just the tip of a very large iceberg. And we felt that, we needed to branch out our mission a little bit. So our mission simply is to end child abuse in our communities and to come to the aid of children and families who've been impacted by abuse. And one of the things that we try to do quite a bit of is education, make people aware, get people talking about what they can, as you said earlier, not just in reaction to, but preventatively, because so much of it can be prevented. So we share that, with our event. We started what we call the Pinwheel Run as kind of our major community event of the year. This year it's going to be on April 10th, and we'll be back in the Citrus County area for this event. It is a motorcycle-based event. Last year we had like 76
almost 100 motorcycles last year.
Yeah, so we had a great turnout last year with the support of some great local sponsors. It is a escorted ride that the Citrus County Sheriff's Office leads from their headquarters in downtown Inverness. We follow a nice backwood path for about an hour before arriving at the Crystal Harley-Davidson dealership, where we have live music and entertainment. And it gives us a chance to expose people to information about not only what's going on, but what the causes and what they can do, and encourage them to do that. Did you have anything you wanted to throw in there? Or?
Speaking of educating, I work at a hospital. You mentioned nurses. The nurses I work with basically probably about 24, 30 nurses in the recovery room and pre-op area, and they get a lot of education from me.
Good.
Well,
We appreciate it, Chris.
And I think it's something that even though we're small, and Chris and I were talking the other day, and I'm sure all of you are aware that when you have volunteers in your organization, and we are an all volunteer organization,
Exactly.
there's no one paid in our group. 80% of the work is done by 20% of the volunteers. And we're very fortunate that the people that we have working with us, we call them our 20%ers, because they all do what they're capable of doing to assist us in what we're trying to accomplish. And while the Pinwheel Run is our major community event, it's not the only thing that we're involved with. We try to participate in other general community events during the course of the year, again, to get people talking and raise awareness and provide educational materials to the public. But we also support some of the local programs like the Fifth Circuit's kinship caregivers. We work with them, and until COVID, we used to have a back to school event that we did with them, where we got the food and entertainment for the kids, and the adults got a chance to take a break and relax a little bit and share their stories with each other. And we support them in needs. Most of these kinship caregivers are grandparents and of the children that they're now being tasked to raise, and they weren't preparing for that, right? So if there's some way we can help them in meeting those needs, we try to do that. We had a shelter that we were visiting every month at the end of our meetings. Unfortunately, that shelter was closed, so that we have to kind of look for a new one to take on.
Yeah, we're in a search for a new shelter to visit.
We recently had some conversations too with Kids Central and how much more we can do to help in their programs. And we do make ourselves available to anyone in our service area that is trying to help a child recover on an individual basis. We can provide assistance in helping restore that child's sense of self-worth and confidence by being involved in their recovery process. So anyone in the Fifth Circuit or Polk and Pasco counties that would like more information, we're not hard to find. Look for us on Facebook or our website, bikers-care.org, and reach out to us. We'd be more than willing to do whatever we can to help those of you who do this as a profession or in the trenches every single day. Whatever we can do to help you, help them, we would do what we can.
Pete, Chris, thank y'all so much. And I think this just points out that literally what we say is true, that anybody can contribute to the prevention of abuse and neglect. And the creativity, the enthusiasm that y'all bring to this, I can tell it's rooted in your heart. So I just want to again say thank y'all. This is just one event, I know, but an impact in a community. I think momentum is important, and sometimes an event such as this can just create enough visibility and enough of curiosity for people to want to ask questions. Same thing as the pinwheel. People are like, what are all those pinwheels for? So
Right.
We appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, and I want to say too that whoever's watching today or who's going to be watching this recorded, if you're a small group, it doesn't take but one person to start the change. Chris and I are an example. When we started off, it was just the two of us, and many times, to get to the ground running, it is just the two of us to get out there and get the dirty work done. But you can make a difference. And one of the things I heard a long time ago was, if you don't think a single person can make a difference, just remember that mosquito that buzzes around your ear at night when you're trying to go to sleep. He's making a difference, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing. We all know that much of the abuse, the course of neglect, and again, we spoke about this, to me, those terms are way too soft to describe what's happening to our children. But even so, it's being caused primarily by those who are in charge with protecting them and loving them. So who is that child going to rely on except us, the community, to not only be their watchdog, but to be the support system to help prevent that from happening to them in the first place. So,
And I was one of those kids, so I can relate to a lot of these kids.
Yeah, Chris, we appreciate you sharing that. That definitely makes an impact on people, I know, when you share your story. So thank you both. I know y'all are busy. You got lots going on, and Chris has got to get Pete out there and up on the roof of that RV that they got to wash.
Oh,
So
he's not doing it. I'm doing it all by myself.
I know, I was just joking with him and you for that
Keeping him
matter,
away
but
from
thank
getting
you.
off the ladder.
Yeah. Thank y'all so much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for having
We
us.
appreciate the
All
opportunity.
right. I'll talk to y'all soon.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. All right. So the next presenter that we're going to have today is a new friend of mine, Carrie Ann Brown. And Carrie Ann is in Broward County. I mentioned her earlier. And Carrie Ann, I hope you can share your screen now.
I just
All right.
did.
Yay. It worked. Carrie Ann, welcome. I want to tell everybody you have a day job, and that you have 3 or 4 titles, but you really have one day job. But you're also really heavily involved in not just the Broward Aware, but the overall child abuse prevention efforts in your area. And I'll just let you take it away.
Thank you, Chris. Hard act to follow after Pete and Chris doing amazing things for kids. So I am actually honored to be here today with my new friend, Chris. I was asked just this week to actually present here this morning. So I was kind of like, oh, what do I do? So put everything together quickly. So I am here and I'm excited to be here. And some of you may know I actually work with the Guardian Ad Litem program. So it's kind of cool that I work with the program more on the back end where kids have been removed and they're in a dependency system, but also working on the front end with Children's Services Council in regards to more the prevention piece. So I'm excited to be here and to be a part of this venture. So at the Guardian Ad Litem program, I am in the 17th Circuit, which is Broward County, and I am a volunteer recruiter and community outreach. And with the Children's Services Council, I play 2 roles. I am the chair for the Abuse and Neglect Committee, and I'm also the chair for the Broward Aware campaign, which I am so passionate about, and I'm so happy that I get this opportunity to share all of what our community partners are doing here in Broward County. So I'm just going to share a bit about what we're doing, and I am going to turn my camera off because I want you to focus on the great things that we're doing together with all our community partners here in Broward County. So thank you all for having me and sharing what we're doing here in Broward collectively. So here we go. Let me do this as Okay, so for those of you who are not familiar, the Broward Aware Protecting Our Children campaign is powered by Children's Services Council, and it creates awareness and share resources that make it possible for children to safely realize their full potential, hopes, and dreams. So the campaign is inspired by the work of Ounce of Prevention, Fund of Florida, and Prevent Child Abuse, Pinwheels, for Prevention Florida. And the campaign consists of several community events throughout a 4-month campaign that culminate in April. And so what we do is we start meeting from October to we meet from October to April, where we have start the planning and all the organization for our upcoming event. So we typically meet just once a month to start planning all these major events that come up in April. So a little history on the campaign. They first year was in 2009, and this is their 12th anniversary, and they've been doing some really phenomenal things. It really was initiated with Nancy J. Cotterman and Children's Services Council along with DCF. So they have been working together to give free resources to the community and making it fun for the kids also in terms of providing games, entertainment, And of course, in the past, before where we are now, the events would typically be about 3-4 hours. And so they would provide food, refreshments, and they also do mini workshop, which addresses some of the issues and the needs that our community, because we believe strongly on educating the community. So they do things like, and I'm not going to go through the whole list, like some of the things like safe sleep practices, substance abuse prevention, water and swim safety, which is very important due to us being in Florida, and of course, human trafficking and domestic violence. So those are some of the topics that they have done in the past in a mini workshop. And through the years, as time go on, they have been adding different ideas and topics and events to the campaign. And some of these, which is the sexual assault awareness launch, they have the 3311 walk, which is also a very big walk, which is done by Mount Bethel. The Me and My Dad challenge and the drowning prevention is really great because the kids get an opportunity to interact with their dads and at the same time learn about drowning prevention. And human trafficking awareness, as we all know, we just left January, which was human trafficking. So we have quite a bit of campaigns that have been added to the Broward Aware campaign as it goes along. So media partnership, we do have media partnerships, Neighbors for Neighbors, Hot 105, 103 The Beat, Forever Family. They tend to cover the stories, and the media personalities come out and they are the MC and the DJs for the events to make it more upbeat and engaging. And of course, some of these kids follow some of these radio personalities. So it's really great when they come out and have a good time. And that's one of the other focus that we focus on. So in 2019, the Broward Aware campaign was awarded the Best Large Community Event, and this was awarded to the Children's Services Council of Broward County, and that's why I'm so honored to be a part of this event. This is the second year that I'm chairing it, taking the lead from Andrew Leon from the Children's Services Council that most of you may be familiar with. So this is really an honor to have received that in 2019. So some of the past themes that we have come up with, and I wanted to share, we just don't sit and come up with a name. There is always a method to our madness. And we work collectively together as a team to come up with the theme names. So everybody's input is really important because it's not about one agency or the other. It's about us coming together as Broward Aware and creating awareness within our communities that we all serve. So some of the past themes that we had was like growing the voice of our future, one love, one community, one world. And last year we had standing together for healing, which was really centered around mental health. And we were so bummed out that we didn't get an opportunity to have our full events. As we understand, things happen and we had no control over the pandemic. So we had to make really good executive decisions and what was best for our kids and the community. And so we had to cancel most of our event last year. So this year's campaign theme is Bouncing Back Together. We got this. So we came up with the name based on the current situation with the pandemic and how we're going to work together through this, everybody collectively coming together. And we also talked about the mental health issues that our children and adults are facing through this very traumatic time, being at home, not being able to communicate with their peers. So we took all of that into consideration, and we still wanted to be able to share the resources that our families need. And so we sat down collectively, came up with the name, Bouncing Back Together. We've got this. And that's what our theme is for this year. as I said, we're all in this together. So we had our art creation, which was done by this gentleman, Jose, from the Department of Children and Families, because they also sit on the Broward Aware Committee. And we
Very
kind of went
nice,
and
Carrie
find
Ann.
out. Yes,
Very
go ahead.
nice. I was just
Thank
saying
you.
that's really cool.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, and the focus, we brought back in the pinwheel, which is the Broward Aware logo, and so this was really cool, and we all liked it. So DCF came to the table and they brought it, so we're excited.
Good job.
Thank you. So the campaign format, of course, it has changed because of the pandemic. So we wanted to still do a couple of the things that we normally do to impact our communities. So for example, the educational webinars, we had to move that online, and we had to come up with drive-through food distribution to address the issue of some families being food deprived at this particular time because people have lost their jobs, and we just don't want kids to go hungry. So our children are our passion. So we had to think outside the box as to how we could do some of these things. So this is basically how we're doing it this year. We're doing drive-through food distributions, drive-through resource fair. We're doing online summits, which we just had one. And we also wanted the kids to be able, especially the teens in the middle and high schools, to be able to still receive credit, even though they're not in school, or a lot of the volunteer activities are not in abundance as they are, but wanted to make sure that our kids got the credits that they needed for school. So we are working collectively with Hands on Broward, who is creating different activities that's related to the campaign on their website. So that's another community resource. So we're very excited that they're on board. So for the events, they will have events where the teens can come out and help with the food distribution with their parents. Of course, we have to practice social distancing, and also in terms of packing and preparing the bags and stuff that we give out to the community. So what better way than having our kids even giving back, who are able to give back. So that was another thing that we thought, and community and city participation was big on our agenda. So because we all are in this together, and so we wanted to bounce back together. And then we also wanted to create things that the younger kids and some of the teens in their own time, because everybody's probably having Zoom fatigue or webinar fatigue, but we still went ahead and did a virtual reading campaign so that they can, log in and do, watch these on YouTube, which is also generated on the Children's Services Council's YouTube channel. See, I got that channel. So,
I heard that, Carrie Ann. I heard that.
I know. I'm following you. I learned about channel. So we decided that it was important to have a mini theme or centered around the month. So January was Human Trafficking Prevention Month. So our events were focused around that. February was Teen Dating Violence. And this month, March, we're focusing on family strengthening, and the focus is on our dads, because we do have amazing dads out there that are doing amazing things for their children. And we're also, so that's what our theme for March is, the family strengthening. And of course, April is Child Abuse Prevention Month, and we shouldn't forget also that it's also Children's Week.
So glad you mentioned that, Carrie Ann. Thank you. I need to talk more about that on the next webinar.
Wonderful. Yeah, we need to remember that, because they've been shifting a bit, with their dates. Yes. So this year it just so happens that it falls. And it's also Volunteer Appreciation Week in April also. So we could not do the things that we do without our volunteers. So we should also keep that in mind. So thank you, Chris. So in January, just to share a little bit, as we're coming to the close, in January for Human Trafficking Month, we did the Guardian Ad Litem Program, Children's Services Council, and Nancy J. Cotterman Center, who actually was the start of all of this. We partnered together in January, and we did a Raise Your Voice to Stop Human Trafficking webinar, which was pretty well attended. We had 122 people registered, and we had over 70 plus attendees. And it was a very good session. It was very engaging, and they got the opportunity to ask questions. And in the reading, we got partners like Kids Safe Foundation that focuses to teach personal safety to children and their grown-ups to build more resilient family and safer communities. They actually spearheaded this with the book, and then we had partners like BSO, Children's Services Council, and South Florida Institute of the Aging, because South Florida Institute of the Aging came in and was giving us the opportunity also that we could use grandmas and grandpas to actually do reading. So, and of course, us, the Guardian Ad Litem program. So the first reading in January was done by BSO. So we thank them very much for their participation in the Broward Aware campaign. February, we worked with Women in Distress, which of course we know they're a full service organization around domestic violence, serving Broward County. And so we ended up putting together, along with them, they were the lead on this, Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. They did a parent and youth series, which covered 3 different webinars, which dealt with teen dating violence and healthy relationships, which is very critical for youth. And then we did the digital abuse boundaries and safety, which is also critical because our kids are always on their electronic devices, and also addressing teen dating violence in the LGBTQ+ community, which was featuring Equality Florida. And then we had our virtual reading, which still tied in with the campaign, which was read by our, Guardian Ad Litem, Adina, who read on C is for Consent, which was also very important in reference to the theme of the month. And then we had Yay, or drive-through resource fair and food distribution, and it went well. We ended up distributing 200 food boxes, which we got from Feeding South Florida. They all went, so we are excited that we were able to serve 200 families at this event. So we had the YMCA, Broward House. We even had an HIV van for testing that was there at the event. So everybody from the Broward Aware Committee jumped in. We made it happen, and we are happy with how it worked. So we had a good February. So March this month, we have Family Strengthening Month, and so we are doing our focuses on building, as we would say, greater childhood, with activities that children can do to build relationship with their parents or their caregivers. So for March, we did the drowning prevention. So we'll have, which one just went, which was March 3rd. And then we have other series coming up that talks about drowning is preventable, beach safety. And of course, we also have one that's coming up that will be in Spanish. So we're trying to reach out to as many communities as we can. We tried to get someone to actually do Creole. It didn't work out. So, everything was just time crunch. So, but we're happy that we're here in March and able to bring at least 5 webinars through Florida Health with Water Smart Broward. So we're excited that they're on board and doing the drowning prevention piece, because normally what we would do is we'd have the dads and the kids at the pool. We, arrange to have like swim gear and towels so the kids can get in the water along with their parents. So there are some components that we kind of had to change that we didn't get to do this year. So Reading with Broward Aware again, it's all about the family. So these are the webinars that we have the pre-recorded books that we have coming up, families, and family. So this is also spearheaded by Kids Safe Foundation, and we have the Fort Lauderdale Police Department that's doing the reading this month. So it kind of makes us feel good to know that we have all of the different agencies within our community that are participating. And then we have Community-Based Connections, who is doing the Fatherhood Matters video. So the videos are being created and narrated around the impact of fatherhood to capture the stories of what it means to be a father in our community, and capturing stories of children, telling why it's important to have their dads in their lives. So, we just changed things a little bit, but we're still trying to do the things that we normally do in a month that we do, but just in a different way. And the last event last month is, yay, finally to the end, April, which is Child Abuse Prevention Month. So we at the Guardian Ad Litem program, we're working along with Nancy J. Cotterman to bring 2 webinar series, child sexual abuse webinars. And the first one will be geared more to parents, caregivers, more to adults in the community. And the second one will be geared to our teens. Method to our madness is that we wanted the parents or the adults to have the opportunity to get the information first, so that way if the kids attend the second one and they have questions, their caregivers, their parents, or the adult that they're with will be able to answer those questions. So we're bringing those 2 webinars to out in April. Healthy Families Graduation, that is one event that we have every year. It's typically closed to the public. It's, moms and stuff, they're graduating, they've completed certain courses and criteria in different skills in regards to, parenting and stuff. So they have that as a closed graduation every year. So, and then we will have the virtual reading campaign again that will come out with their books for the month of April. And then we're doing also a drive-through family resource fair. This is normally the typical big event that we have every year with all the community partners. And we're doing it in a different way, which is still the drive-through, but we're also doing a food distribution with mobile school pantry here in Broward, who, big mantra is no child should go to bed hungry. So we are working with them. They're providing the food distribution piece of it, and we're trying to make it fun and festive for our kids. So we're doing, we'll have a balloon art person. Of course, all social distancing protocols are in place, and it's all drive-through, an Easter bunny waving, and the kids will get Easter eggs and, little Easter bags. And then the community, we have some community partners that will be there that is giving out resources. And let's not forget the books. We're giving away books, which we're working with Broward Schools, the Title I team, and Early Learning Coalition. So, everybody in the community is partnering up to make sure that the kids get some kind of a normal kind of day, but it should be fun for them, and they'll have a good time. We're going to make sure of it. The other big thing that we're working on with some of the folks from Children Services Council is we are working on lighting Broward blue. And what do I mean by that is that we are currently reaching out to all the cities in Broward County and working to see if we can get them to light all the city halls in Broward County in blue and plant pinwheels in the front of the city buildings, so that way people will recognize and correlate, or even if they don't know, they'll ask, what is there a pinwheel there, to kind of create the awareness. We're working on some other little back ends to try and get some of the major buildings also in Broward County to light the buildings blue. And we are also looking to see if we can get, I think it's 2 fountains in Broward County to actually turn the fountains blue. So, so that's our other big to-do that we're doing. And of course, we're working with Nancy J. Cotterman to participate in their Denim Day here in Broward County. So I know, we have a lot of community partners here. You can see this year we have 59 agencies in Broward County that is working with us collectively on the committee. So we're all throwing our ideas from our different agencies. And so I just wanted to, at this time, just say they're doing a great job. Thank you everyone in Broward for stepping up and showing that we can do it and that we got this. So I want to thank you all for having me and sharing what we're doing here in Broward. And we're excited and we're looking forward to great things, in our partnership with all of our community partners here. So thank you, Chris, for giving us this opportunity to share.
Of course. Thank you, Carrie Ann. That was awesome. That's great partnership being demonstrated down there. We appreciate y'all very much. And thank you to everyone for listening. There's one more thing that I wanted to be able to bring to your attention. I hope that you can all see, I saw a question about a banner for Facebook, and Jennifer, jump in any minute that you want to, but I wanted to show real quick some of the things that are hot off the presses for us to be able to share with you. Jennifer's created some backgrounds. Carrie Ann mentioned the Zoom, all the other platforms that we've been on. So I just wanted to show you. And Jennifer, I think the plan is to add these to the toolkit. Is that right?
Yes, and in fact, they're already there. So
Awesome.
We've already added them this morning. And the question was about, submitted was about a banner for Facebook. And so that is also already in the toolkit. If you'll download the social media section of the toolkit, you'll get the Facebook pieces that you need. And if there's something you still need, let us know. But yeah, if you just go to that toolkit page, we try very hard to just, it's starting to get a little bit cluttered, but we try to just list everything out so you can find it. So if you'll do Control F and do social media, you'll be able to find it really fast, or you can just read down that list and it's listed out under social media. But that toolkit page is pretty user friendly, and we tried to list everything that's there so you don't have to go searching too deep for it. And those should all be, they're up already. I sent them to IT this morning and they got all that up already. So there, Chris is showing you our toolkit page. So we've had some new additions this morning, which include, well, there's the last webinar that we had from 2 weeks ago. If you missed it, there's the link to order the Wear Blue Day shirts, which was another question. So they added, that's the Wear Blue Day flyer. And then that you can put up, you can distribute electronically or put up around your building. And then there's the link to order the Wear Blue Day shirts. And we've got that 20% off code there that we encourage you to use so that you can save as much money as possible. So there are a lot of possibilities there. Chris, there's the social media content. And that's where your Facebook banners and other Facebook items are going to be. So when you click that link, you'll see at the bottom of the screen, it's downloading a zip file to Chris's computer. And so you can unzip that and it'll have all the files there for you. We had a question, Chris, about proclamation. And so if the question was about the governor's proclamation, that has been submitted to the governor's office. It has to undergo review with several departments, and including they kick it over to DCF. We know that DCF has received it, so it's moving, but it's got to go back to the governor's office. And I think they have some folks that have to look at it there. So we never know when we're going to get the signed proclamation back. We sent it in plenty of time, and we requested it for it to be back with us 1 to 2 weeks for us to distribute it, but we don't always get it when we ask for it. So we are just waiting patiently, and we will post it the second we get it. We will make haste to get it up to the toolkit for everyone. But if anybody's just looking for a proclamation template, if your own county or city also issues proclamations, that template is here on the toolkit page in the customizable documents. I think that was all the toolkit questions we had. We're just trying to add everything there so you can get to it very quickly. But I did also want to mention that Jacob, with Partnership for Strong Families, didn't want to let you get away with not saying the name of his school, Chris. So he says, "Go Gators."
Oh, bless his heart. Bless his heart. Yeah. No, we're glad to have you, Jake. We welcome any and all types, that's for sure. Yeah.
And
So
I
we're
think
glad to have you on. Thank you.
and the other question we didn't answer yet is you referenced some masks earlier, Chris. So we had a
Yes.
question about what kind of masks. So if you'll go into more detail there.
Yeah, I answered that on the
Okay.
question panel, but they're just very basic cloth masks. They're white, but they are cloth. So I just want to make that known. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you especially to our presenters today. Carrie Ann, you're awesome. Love to see what y'all are doing. Y'all always do really cool stuff in Broward, and Pete and his wife, Chris, and Bikers Care. I think that just gives you some flavor for what are the things that people are doing and can do. And we'll continue to talk about those. And I'll be sending out an update again next week. And then, of course, tune in for more information and more updates on CAP Month Webinar 3. We will be available. Of course, you can reach us at our contact information that I shared earlier, which I'll go back to right now. So please let us know if you have any questions, and we'd love to hear from you on things that we can help you with and ideas that you may have that we can share with others. So anybody else have any other comments, Nydia or Jennifer?
No more for me. Thank you all.
That's it. I think we covered it. Thank you all for joining.
Thank y'all so much. Really appreciate what y'all are doing out there. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll be in touch next week. Thank you.